Alright, what's going on? Why are all these gaming companies suddenly choosing this one date to release all their shit? It's almost like they're trying to reach a demographic that was there from the beginning, and it's never gone anywhere. I don't know, but they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And the newest addition to the 420 craze is actually the new God of War game. Just today, we got the release date revealed to us through a PlayStation blog post by the director himself, Cory Barlog, who actually directed the God of War 2, I believe. I think God of War 2 was the only one that he did, and now he's coming back for God of War, at least the new God of War game that's just called God of War. Which, to be honest, I think it's my only little beef that I have with the game thus far, being this close to the release date, is that the title never changed. I was hoping for some kind of subtitle or some change to the title that would be subtle but kind of cool to kind of insinuate that this is a reboot for the franchise and a new approach to the character and to the story, but it's just called God of War. So I'm like, I'm not a huge fan of these games still retaining that original title, because it's technically still a brand new game, and yet you're calling it God of War. You're calling it Doom again. You're calling it Ratchet and Clank again. I'm like, come on. But it's official. God of War will be releasing on April 20th, 2018. And it makes sense. It makes sense for it to be April 20th. Well, not April 20th, but sometime in April. Because for the longest time, they were advertising it as early 2018, especially with the recent unveilings at PSX, at Paris Games Week, often saying early 2018. And for the longest time, I was actually theorizing maybe March, especially before entering the new year. I was thinking March, because all of the evidence was pointing to it getting a release time around this window. There was certain box art, such as the one that you see here on the screen, that was already being put with some of those trailers. You would see the little box, the blue box, with this artwork. And whenever they have artwork already pre-made to go along with that box, that usually means that they're actually not too far away from getting this game to go gold and finally shipping out the copies. So that's pretty interesting. On top of that, I believe the last two console God of War games, God of War Ascension and God of War 3, both came out in March of their respective years. I believe it's 2010 and 2013. And I can't remember what the release dates were for the first two God of War games, but I think it was around that area, early within the year, 2005 and 2007. And the other form of evidence that was supporting all this was that I was also seeing other promotional artwork, especially if you were to buy a PlayStation 4 Pro, they would already have the new old Kratos along with his son on the back of that box. And I'm like, okay, why in the hell are you already advertising this thing on the back of the box if this thing wasn't coming soon already? And then the last piece of info that made me go, yeah, it's coming out very relatively soon, is that so much of the material that they were showing to us at all of these different conventions and expos showcasing the game were very, well, varied. They were very varied. They would show an awful lot that you normally wouldn't expect from companies who still had a long way to go to develop a game and finally get it out to the public. They would show certain gameplay mechanics, certain environments that reached out beyond that of a vertical slice that made you go, you know what, I think it looks like you have so much complete here. I wouldn't be surprised if this game was a long way off, like 2019, which is definitely where The Last of Us kind of sits at, because they're not showing much of that game. They're just teasing us enough with enough material to know that it's coming, but it's not coming very soon. Whereas God of War had so many facets to it shown to us that it's like, how can you not have a majority of this game already complete? And it looks like we are just a few weeks away from hearing the news that this game has officially gone gold, even though April does make much more sense now, because we entered the new year and March would have been a little too soon. March would have been a little too soon for them to go all of a sudden, oh yeah, it's coming out in a couple of months. It was possible, but very unlikely. Now releasing in April with a brand new trailer and enough time for us to kind of sink our teeth into what exactly we're going to be getting as pre-order bonuses, which places we would like to get either the standard edition or the collector's edition, which I gotta be honest, the more I look at it, the more I go, maybe if I have enough money, I'll splurge for the collector's edition, especially since it's always possible that this might be the official last God of War game, even though they said that about 3. But now we got this one, and Kratos has a beard. And you know what they say about these big heroic or anti-heroic characters getting a beard? It means that their time might finally come to an end. I'm sorry, but some history within the nerdy pop culture as of late has dictated that whenever a character gets a beard like this, it means that they're going to have to pull out some kind of sacrificial heroics to save the day at the end. However, my only little worry is that even though we're only about 3 months away from the release of this game, I still think it's possible. I still think that there's enough of a time frame that if they are not ready and they still need a little bit of polishing, I think this game could be delayed, maybe at least another month over to May or June. I don't see there being a significant delay to where we push it an entire season from something like April to all the way until September or October as a fall release, but I wouldn't exactly rule it out. I wouldn't exactly just close my mind to the possibility that they could delay this game still. Because even though we've seen a good chunk of the game, from what it looks like, it very complete with its gameplay mechanics and its environments, and even its story with what we've seen with the brand new trailer that came with the news of the game coming out on April 20th, it still has the potential of needing some polishing based on what Cory Barlog has said about the journey getting here, and the fact that it hasn't gone gold just yet makes me think that it's always possible that this game might get delayed again. However, if it does, I don't expect it to be any more than like a month or two. And when it comes to video games and delays that are only about a month or so that aren't significant enough to make you think that, oh, this game's never coming out, like certain other little scenarios, then I think God of War can still be in good hands, especially with some of the most recent comments by Barlog himself, in which he states that this is a much more open world experience than the traditional narrative of a God of War game that's much more linear. And he expects players to sink about 25 to 35 hours into this game. So we're dealing with possibly some open world RPG mechanics, as well as a very diverse storytelling narrative that branches out into maybe some side quests. And if that's the case, then hopefully, let's pray that this could be one of the early 2018 Game of the Year contenders. I know that it's very, very early to call it, but hey, around this time, there was already some buzz generating over Horizon Zero Dawn, and look how that turned out. So, those are my comments on some of the most recent news on the God of War game, which is definitely on my radar, but is it on your guys'? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like and share the video, and do not forget to hit the subscribe button down below to look out for a brand new string of classic video game reviews that I have cooking, with the first one possibly going up this week. Fingers crossed. Anyways, that does it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. It kind of tries to do what certain other asymmetrical multiplayer games do, where one character is this big powerful thing and then the other characters are just regular humans trying to take it down. All out Friday the 13th right now. Evolve, however, wasn't as pristine and polished as, well, neither is Friday the 13th.